I would show you guys how I make homemade stovetop stuffing, kind of stuffing. What I have here is the odds and ends of hamburger buns that, I mean, there's only 3 in my family, so we don't eat a whole pack of hamburger buns at a time. So I'll take whatever's left over and I will freeze it. And when I think I have enough, I will take it out and I will make homemade stuffing with it. What I'm showing you right now today, it's kind of a 2-day process. So today what I'm showing you is I'm letting it air dry. I'm gonna try and get these as dry as possible. So I'm just gonna let them sit out today, overnight, most of tomorrow. And I'll bring you back tomorrow to show you what else you'll need and the process for making it. But I just wanted to let you know that you do need to let these sit out and come to just air dry for at least 24 hours. I'll bring you back tomorrow when these are as dry as I like them. Okay, I told you I'd bring you back today when I was ready to make my homemade stovetop stuffing. My bread is sufficiently dried. It is dry, but it's still kind of like soft, so we're gonna have to put it in the oven. But what you need for this is butter, celery, onion, garlic, salt, pepper, chicken stock, parsley, sage, and marjoram, however you want to say it. You're going to need a knife, a cutting board, measuring cups, and I think that's it. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we want to do is get the oven preheating because I do need to dry this out a little bit more. And this is going to take a little bit because you want to do it on a low oven. So I'm putting this at 250 and getting it preheating. And then we're going to move on to cutting the bread because you want it into crouton size bits or smaller. So I'm just going to start doing that. And I suggest a serrated knife for this just because you can hear it is pretty dry, but I still want it to be more so. And I also want it to be toasted because that adds a nice flavor to it. So I'm gonna work on this, and when the oven's ready and I have all these cut up, I'll bring you back. Okay, I have my bread all cut up and my oven is preheated. I cut them up to crouton size. You could cut them up smaller, that's fine. And as a matter of fact, in a pinch, you could use croutons. We're gonna put them in the oven and dry them out. And I probably have more here than I actually need. It's just every time I make this recipe, sometimes it takes a little more bread, sometimes it takes a little less bread. It depends on how dry it is and how much of the chicken stock that it soaks up. So I'm gonna get these in the oven and we're gonna probably put them in there for about 30 minutes until they're toasted. Halfway through, I'm going to flip them over so they can get brown on all sides. And while they're in the oven, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna cut up the onion and the celery. Okay, you will need 2 stalks of celery and 1 medium onion for this. I love the flavor of celery. I'm not a big fan of crunching down on it. So I am going to get this really a fine dice on it. I don't mind so much cutting or eating or like biting into onion. It's just celery. I just cannot, I don't like biting into it. So I'm gonna slice these up pretty good. The amount, I said 2 stalks, it's really up to you. If you love celery, by all means, add as much celery as you want. If you don't like celery, you can maybe try using celery salt instead of celery, but I really do think it adds a good flavor to it. I wouldn't omit it. I would just try and use the celery salt or do like I'm doing. I mean, just really cut it up fine. realize that stovetop stuffing is, you know, pretty cheap, especially around this time of year. But it really kind of burned me to throw away hot dog buns and hamburger buns because we didn't eat them all. So I just started putting them in the freezer, and I thought, I'll think of something to do with these. Yeah, you know what? I'm the crazy lady with old bread and chicken bones in her freezer because I am convinced that I can use them some other way. And I stumbled on this recipe for homemade stovetop stuffing, and it is really good. But if you have like, if you're a baker and you have your own bread that you made, I'm not, so we all know about that. I understand that it doesn't last like maybe store-bought, well, because it doesn't have the preservatives and things in it, and it is healthier for you. But this is something great to do with the leftover pieces of that. Put it in the freezer, and then when you have enough, go ahead and make some stovetop stuffing out of it. And you will especially know what's in yours because you made the bread. But not a baker, so I have to rely on other people to do that. I'm going to dice up the onion and get that in the bowl. And when I have this done and the bread out of the oven, I will bring you back. Okay, my oven has gone off, and I will tell you I did bump the heat up to 350 to get it to toast. So I'm going to go ahead and take them out of the oven. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is in this pot we're going to put our butter in, which is going to be 6 tablespoons, give or take. Get that melting. I'm going to go ahead and move. As you can see, the breadcrumbs are dry. They're where we want them, and they did brown up, which is exactly what we wanted because, like I said, we wanted that for flavor. I'm going to go ahead and get the butter melted, and I'll bring you back when I have the onion and celery in the pan with the butter. Okay, the butter has melted. I'm going to go ahead and add the onions and the celery. I just realized I may have to move to a bigger pan. We'll see how far these sweat down. But what we're doing right now with the onion and the celery is we're sweating them down and making them translucent, because this is really the only time the onion and the celery are going to be able to cook. So this will take about 10 minutes. While that is doing that, let's go over here and measure out our spices. Okay, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of sage. And I will tell you, I have made this without the sage before, and it was fine. So here is the sage. We need half of a teaspoon of the marjoram or marjoram, whichever you want to call it. And 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. And about 4 garlic cloves. So I'm going to call that 4. If it's a little more garlicky, that's okay. And I'm gonna hold off on the salt and pepper because I'm not sure how salty my chicken stock turned out. So we'll hold off on that. I'll bring you back when we're ready to add the seasonings to the onion and celery. Okay, my onion and celery are soft enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and add, oh, and you can tell, I moved it to a bigger pot. I'm gonna go ahead and add my chicken stock because that needs to come up to a boil. And this looks like probably around 5 cups. I'm gonna add 4, and then, okay, I'm gonna add 3. And then see where we're at. So when this comes back up to a boil, I'll bring you back. Okay, this is at a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my seasoning and my garlic. Give it a stir and give that a few minutes to incorporate. And I'll bring you back when we're ready to add the bread. Okay. It's had time to boil, and the herbs, I can smell the herbs and the garlic, so I'm gonna go ahead and start adding the bread. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna add 6 cups, and I'm also gonna turn this down to low. Stir this up. And I can tell this is already going to probably need 1 more cup or 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and just eyeball a cup. So that makes about 8 cups of breadcrumbs. Now, I'm gonna put a lid on it, and I'm gonna come back and check it in 3 or 4 minutes. I'll bring you back. Okay. It's been about 7 minutes. So let's stir it. And at this point, it's done. It's really a preference thing. If you prefer the stuffing to be more in smooth consistency or chunky consistency, the longer you let it steam-ish in the pot, it'll get more smooth. But this is the consistency that we prefer, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it in a bowl, and when I have it on the plate, I'll bring you back. Okay, here it is on the plate. I like to serve mine with chicken, or actually any poultry or pork roast is good with it. And tonight we're just having some peas and mushrooms, and I hope you enjoy.